Hello. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for Lesson 210 in A Course in Miracles Workbook for Students here on Saturday, July the 29th of 2023. And it is, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Pain is my own idea, it is not a thought of God. Pain is my own idea, it is not a thought of God. But one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved daughter. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved child. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son. And that I choose instead of what I made. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. All right, well, let's take a look at this lesson. Thank you again for joining me today. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Pain is my own idea. It's not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son. And that I choose instead of what I made. And that I choose instead of what I made. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Are we getting that? I am not a body. You're not a body. What are you? You're the eternal spirit, the silent observer, the witness to all that is. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am the Holy Son of God Himself, I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Getting ready to get a review on tomorrow's lesson. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Listen what he says here. Pain is my own idea. Pain is my own idea. You think pain's given to you and that you can't stop it. But I want to tell you a little bit. Let's read this, and then I want to tell you a little story, something that happened to me. Pain is my own idea. It's not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son. And that I choose instead of what I made. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Where he says that pain is my own idea, it is not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son, and that I choose instead of what I made. Okay, here a few years ago I got bit by a copperhead, and that evening, the short story, that evening I was in, it was just so painful, it was hurting, I just couldn't hardly, the pain came on and kept getting more intense. And I got bit in the ankle, and my ankle was just, was really, I say really, emphasizing there was a lot of pain. And I didn't get to sleep. I couldn't sleep. It was around 2 o'clock in the morning. I was starting to get tired, but there was enough sensation, what I was calling pain. that I couldn't really get to sleep. Well, finally I dozed off for a few minutes. And during those few minutes of getting out of my body, a medicine man came to me in a dream. And he told me, he said, hey, you're looking at this in a way that's making it more painful for you. He said, don't think of the venom as a poison and that's going to result in pain. Think of it as a gift the Great Spirit has given you that you need to receive with thanksgiving. And he said, let's try it right now in your dream. So in the dream, he kind of coached me in breathing in the feeling. And he said, let's just call it a sensation. Let's don't put the word pain on it. Let's breathe in the sensation and let's breathe out the sensation. And let's just accept it as a healing balm from God, a gift. And who knows, maybe that's something your body needed at that moment that you wouldn't have got any other way. He said the main thing is just to not look at it as a poison. Look at it as a gift, as a help, and receive it instead of rejecting it and placing guilt on it or bad or hurt. Instead, just accept what is. Let things be. And so I practiced it and the pain went away in my dream. Well, when I woke up a moment later, I thought, wow, I'm going to keep trying that. And I did. I was laying there still, and I kept trying to receive this as a benefit and not as a poison, not as a toxin, not as a venom, but as some kind of an assistance for whatever reason, I don't know. But just accept it and let it be. But breathe it in and accept it and let it out and accept it. Just breathe it in and breathe it out, but accept it. And the pain was gone. I could, as long as I did this, the pain would diminish or be even gone. So anyway, I just wanted to share that just so that you would understand another way of looking at it. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Pain is my own idea. It is not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son. And I choose instead, and that I choose instead of what I want. Let's choose joy instead of pain. Let's breathe in the joy and breathe out the pain. Maybe you could do it that way. Breathe in the feelings of good and breathe out the feelings that don't seem to serve you any longer. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Well, that's our lesson for today. Let's go take a look in our text reading for the day. And it is in chapter 21, the inner picture, perception and wishes. And before we read that, what is going on the earth today? It's the anniversary of the Army Chaplain Corps. Cheese Sacrifice Purchase Day, National and International Chicken Wing Day, International Tiger Day, National Day of Lament. Boy, there could be no better way to look at a world that is contrary to the will of God than to know that we have an actual day of lamenting pain and suffering. National Lasagna Day, National Lipstick Day, National Water Gun Fight Day, Paddle for Pathos Disease Awareness Day. And Pathos disease is a child disease of decreased blood flow to the head of the thigh bone at the hip joint. And Rain Day, a day to celebrate rain. Of course, in the middle of summer, we like lots of rain. And I have another strawberry, the last one that Edible Landscaping has that we haven't talked about. It's the white fruiting Christina native strawberry. Christina is a native spring-bearing white strawberry. Plants run freely and should naturalize in dappled shade rock gardens and walled gardens, especially near the kitchen. Fruits are soft and sweet. Space 1 foot circles, zones 5 through 7, maybe in zone 8. Okay, the white fruiting Christina native strawberry. Okay, looks like it'll do good in dappled shade too. And then one more near-death experience out of the other side NDE. This is Philip Siracusa. And it's 8 minutes and 38 minutes. It's titled 14-Year-Old Crosses Over, Gets Taught About Negative Thoughts During NDE. And he calls himself, after this experience, the messenger, because he said, I've got this wonderful message of this love of God, and that you don't ever have to worry about not seeing your loved ones again. He met his grandfather who had died before he was born. And grandfather said, well, hello, Sonny. Anyway, let's go take a look at our text reading now. Perception and wishes. Do you not see that all your misery comes from the strange belief that you are powerless? Being helpless is the cost of sin. Being helpless is the cost of sin. Helplessness is sin's condition, the one requirement that it demands to be believed. Only the helpless could believe in it. Enormity has no appeal save to the little, and only those who first believe that they are little could see attraction there. Treachery to the Son of God is the defense of those who do not identify with Him, and you are for Him or against Him. Either you love Him or attack Him, protect His unity or see Him shattered and slain by hate. 71. No one believes the Son of God is powerless, and those who see themselves as helpless must believe that they are not the Son of God. What can they be except His enemy? And what can they do but envy Him whose power, and by their envy make themselves afraid of it? These are the dark ones, silent and afraid, alone and not communicating. Fearful the power of the Son of God will strike them dead, and raising up their helplessness against Him. They join the army of the powerless to wage their war of vengeance, bitterness, and spite on Him, to make Him one with them. Because they do not know that they are one with Him, they know not whom they hate. They are indeed a sorry army, each one as likely to attack his brother or turn upon himself, as to remember they thought they had a common cause. 72. Frantic and loud and strong the dark ones seem to be, yet they know not their enemy except they hate him. In hatred they have come together, but have not joined each other. For had they done so, hatred would be impossible. The army of the powerless must be disbanded in the presence of strength. Those who are strong are never treacherous, because they have no need to dream of power and to act out their dream. How would an army act in dreams? Any way at all. It could be seen attacking anyone with anything. Dreams have no reason in them. Dreams have no reason in them. A flower turns into a poisonous spear, a child becomes a giant, and a mouse roars like a lion. And love is turned to hate as easily. This is no army, but a madhouse. What seems to be a planned attack is bedlam. 73. The army of the powerless is weak indeed. It has no weapons, and it has no enemy. Yes, it can overrun the world and seek an enemy, but it can never find what is not there. Yes, it can dream it found an enemy, but this will shift even as it attacks, so that it runs at once to find another, and never comes to rest in victory. And as it runs, it turns against itself, thinking it caught a glimpse of the great enemy, which always eludes its murderous attack by turning into something else. How treacherous does this enemy appear, who changes so it is impossible even to recognize him. Oh, what a terrible enemy. You can't even recognize him. Now you got to worry about everybody. 74. Yet hate must have a target. There can be no faith in sin without an enemy. Who that believes in sin would dare believe he has no enemy? Could he admit that no one made him powerless? Reason would surely bid him seek no longer what is not there to find. Yet first he must be willing to perceive a world where it is not. It is not necessary that he understand how he can see it, nor should he try. For if he focuses on what he cannot understand, he will but emphasize his helplessness, and let sin tell him that his enemy must be himself. But let him only ask himself these questions, which he must decide to have it done for him. But let him only ask himself the following questions, which he must decide to have it done for him. Do I desire a world I rule instead of one which rules me? Do I desire a world where I am powerful instead of helpless? Do I desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin? And do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? And then, so those are the questions that we need to ask and then allow the Holy Spirit to guide us. Do I desire a world I rule instead of one which rules me? Do I desire a world where I am powerful instead of helpless? Do I desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin? And do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? You've already answered the first three questions, but not yet the last. The last, do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? For this one question still seems fearful and unlike the others, yet reason would assure you that they are all the same. We said this year would emphasize the sameness of things that are the same. This final question, which is indeed the last you need decide, still seems to hold a threat the rest have lost for you. And this imagined difference attests to your belief that truth may be the enemy you yet may find. Here then would seem to be the last remaining hope of finding sin and not accepting power. 77. Forget not that the choice of truth of sin, power, or helplessness. Forget not that the choice of truth or sin, power, or helplessness is the choice of whether to attack or heal. The choice of whether to attack or heal. For healing comes of power, and attack from helplessness. Whom you attack, you cannot want to heal. And whom you would have healed must be the one you choose to be protected from attack. And what is this decision but the choice whether to see him through the body's eyes or let him be revealed to you through vision? How this decision leads to its effects is not your problem. You don't have to understand how to see him as innocent. Just be willing to see him that way. The decision again. And what is this decision but the choice of whether to see him through the body's eyes or let him be revealed to you through vision? How this decision leads to its effects is not your problem, but what you want to see must be your choice. This is a course and cause and not effect. 78. Consider carefully your answer to the last question you have left unanswered still, and let your reason tell you that it must be answered and is answered in the other three. And then it will be clear to you that as you look on the effects of sin in any form, all you need do is simply ask yourself, is this what I would see? Do I want this? And we'll add this and the other italicized portion of those 4 questions to our song if we have time at the end. Paragraph 80. This is your one decision. This the condition for what occurs. It is irrelevant to how it happens, but not to why. You have control of this. And if you choose to see a world without an enemy in which you are not helpless, the means to see it will be given you. 81. Why is the final question so important? Reason will tell you why. It is the same as the other 3 except in time. The others are decisions which can be made and then unmade and made again. But truth is constant and implies a state where vacillations are impossible. You can desire a world you rule which rules you not, and change your mind. You can desire to exchange your helplessness for power and lose this same desire as a little glint of sin attracts you. And you can want to see a sinless world and let an enemy tempt you to use the body's eyes and change what you desire. Again, on that last sentence, you can want to see a sinless world and let an enemy, in quotes, tempt you to use the body's eyes and change what you desire. 82. Remember, what you really desire deep down is to see an innocent world, because there's where our happiness and peace lies, and that's the way we look at ourselves, the way we look at our brother. 82. In content, all the questions are the same, for each one asks if you are willing to exchange the world of sin for what the Holy Spirit sees, since it is this the world of sin denies. And therefore, those who look on sin are seeing the denial of the real world. Those who look on sin are seeing the denial of the real world. Yet the last question adds the wish for constancy in your desire to see the real world, so the desire becomes the only one you have. By answering the final question, yes, you add sincerity to the decisions you've already made to all the rest. For only then have you renounced the option to change your mind again. When it is this you do not want, the rest are wholly answered. 83. Why do you think you are unsure the others have been answered? Could it be necessary they be asked so often if they had? Until the last decision has been made, the answer is both yes and no. For you have answered yes without perceiving that yes must mean not no. No one decides against his happiness. No one decides against his happiness. But he may do so if he does not see, he does it. But he may do so. Choose against your own happiness if you don't see that you're doing that. And if he sees his happiness as ever-changing, now this, now that, and now an elusive shadow attached to nothing, he does decide against it. And 84, the last paragraph of this section, elusive happiness, or happiness in changing form that shifts from time and place, is an illusion which has no meaning. Happiness must be constant because it is attained by giving up the wish for the inconstant. Joy cannot be perceived except through constant vision. A constant vision can be given only those who wish for constancy. The power of the Son of God's desire remains the proof that he is wrong who sees himself as helpless. The power of the Son of God's desire remains the proof that he is wrong who sees himself as helpless. Desire what you will, and you will look on it and think it real. No thought but has the power to release or kill, and none can leave the thinker's mind or leave him unaffected. Okay, and I think we have time to sing our full version of this song. So let us do so. And be sure to do your 2 longer periods of meditation today. Tell yourself to begin with, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. And then say, I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Pain is my own idea. It is not a thought of God. Pain is my own idea. It is not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from him and from his will. His will is joy and only joy for his belief. beloved Son, and that I choose instead of what I made. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son, and that I choose instead of what I made, and that I choose instead of what I made. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Now our 4 questions out of the text. Do I desire a world I rule instead of one which rules me? Do I desire a world I rule instead of one which rules me? Do I desire a world where I am powerful instead of helpless? Do I desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin? And do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? And do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? As you look after the effects of sin, ask yourself. As you look on the effects of sin, ask yourself, is this what I would see? Do I want this? As you look on the effects of sin, ask yourself, is this what I would see? Do I want this? Do I desire a world I rule instead of one which rules me? Do I desire a world where I am powerful instead of helpless? Do I desire a world in which I have no enemies and cannot sin? And do I want to see what I denied because it is the truth? As you look on the effects of sin, ask yourself, is this what I would see? Do I want this? As you look on the effects of sin, ask yourself, is this what I would see? Do I want this? I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. Pain is my own idea, it is not a thought of God, but one I thought apart from Him and from His will. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved Son, and that I choose instead of what I made. His will is joy and only joy for His beloved child, and that I choose instead of what I made. I choose the joy of God instead of pain. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Thank you so much for joining me.